we'll go ahead and take questions for Coach.
Kirk, what do you look at as some of the fixes necessary in the run game coming out of the Purdue game?
I just think we just got to be more consistent, with it. I think it's, always when there's a problem, there's more than one reason for it. I think we just got to be more consistent, from the offensive line to the running backs, blocking on the perimeter, all that. With it, we worked really hard on our fundamentals these last 2 weeks. I thought it was probably the worst game we had as far as our fundamentals went, and our details. So hopefully we got to move them right in the right direction again.
Is Illinois' front seven the best one you think you faced all year?
Definitely. I don't know, are they the best defense in the league? I don't know that yet because I haven't seen everybody on defense this year. But they're legit, and very, very good, really on every level. They're nickel and safeties on the third level, and nickel and safeties really good players. The 31's, he's the best corner I've seen so far. And I thought the kid from Purdue was pretty good, 23. And then their front seven, their D-lines, over 900 pounds. They're three inside guys. They're big. They're strong, and they have that, usually you have size, you have power, right? These guys have size, power, and quickness. They can run around you just as easily as run through you. And I think their linebackers are really tough. They do a great job recognizing the run scheme and getting into their gaps and playing downhill and attacking you.
What challenges are presented by a defense that is so versatile and aggressive with the blitz, too?
Any defense with really good players is a tremendous challenge. They have really good players. They do a great job with their scheme. They absolutely understand it. Understand how it all fits. They don't make mistakes. They're not going to give you anything, with it. So it's more the players, just like I just think, again, sometimes maybe I think about things too simple, but it's football is the ultimate player's game, and they have really good players, and they do a great job schematically of taking advantage. They've done a great job recruiting for their defensive scheme because their players really fit it, so it's going to be a great challenge.
Illinois is a team. Illinois is a team that possesses the ball a lot on offense. Your team is similar. Is that a situation where you feel you have to maximize your possessions in a situation like that?
I think that we are play with two similar styles. I think that's true. I think that I think that whoever gets the lead will have an advantage. From that standpoint. But I try not to think about that because I think that when you do what I found in past experiences, that what happens is you start to press and try to force things that necessarily maybe weren't there. And so I try not to think about that, but it's a fact. The game, I don't know, they'll get all the commercials in, it could be one of those type of days because that's just the two styles that we both play the same type of style. Really are always really important, but I think that'll be even maximized against these guys. You can't give away any possessions against them.
What stands out to you most about Mariano's game? I know you go against him in practice. What stands out about him in the middle of the defense?
The thing that stands out for me is like how much he loves the game of football. The passion that he has for it, whether it's spring practice number 9, training camp practice number 17, or game 4 in the schedule, or game 1. He just loves to play the game and loves to compete, with it, and just his attitude with it. I know going against him that He's an incredibly intelligent player, and he's also incredibly talented, right? That intelligence, that only gets you so far, the intelligence. There are certain physical skills that are needed at that position in order to be really good, and he just has those too with it. But the thing that I take from him, from watching him from afar, is just how much he loves playing football. We could be in inside drill during a bye week, and he has the same passion and competitive spirit and love for the game, in those 3 plays as he does in the bowl game.
Would be a best spot for him in football going forward? It sounds like that's what he wants to do. I mean, obviously, after his playing days are done, where do you think would be a best spot for him?
You mean as a player in the, or
as after his playing days are done, I think he could be best suited as in the world of football.
He could be a great coach if he wanted to be. He certainly has the IQ for it and the feel for the game. And that's kind of what you're looking for when you're looking at guys that, are thinking about getting into coaching. You think about, do they have the work ethic? Do they have the IQ for the game? He certainly has that. He could be a great coach if that's what he wants to do. I really don't know what
Sure.
You'd have to ask Joe
Sure.
what he wants to do after he's done playing. But we have a number of guys on our team that I think would make great coaches someday.
Jay talked on Monday that he felt like there was a little bit of Murphy's Law from that Purdue game where whatever could go wrong did go wrong. Did you feel like that at times offensively?
I'm sorry, who said that? Oh, I felt like in watching the game on Sunday that we had some opportunities and, we didn't capitalize on them. You play a good team. You gotta make the plays. You gotta capitalize on them. But I really just overall, I just didn't see our details weren't as good as they were the first, 4 games. Yeah, our details weren't as good in that game, and so there were, there's some obvious plays that anybody could see that, hey, we would have loved for that to turn out a little bit different, and most of the time it would turn out differently, than it did. But there were a lot of little subtle plays that maybe it was a run play and it was a 2-yard gain, and I looked at it and was like, geez, if our details were a little bit better, this should have been a 7 or 8-yard gain. And now, how does that change the story? How does that change that drive? You never know. I'll always feel like within the course of a game, that there's any play can change the story. You just don't. One play never loses a game, but one play can win a game for you, and you don't know when it's going to come up or where it's going to be. And I just thought we had a lot of opportunities, where things, the story could have changed. Maybe a better play call on a certain play, where maybe the story changes, with it. So, we have to play better and we got to coach better, and that's really been our attitude. And but that's really our attitude every week. Whether we win or lose, we're always, as coaches, we're always looking at it. How we got to coach better. How can we coach better? And how can we get our players to play better and to continue improving? And that's part of the culture that's here. Change your best on a daily basis, and that's how we look at it. So, the day after the game wasn't a lot different than any other Sunday, after the game. That's just how we approach it.
More for Coach?
Where do you think Daniel Jackson has made the biggest jump as a receiver?
Consistency. He's again. You could see it in practice. You could see him coming on before he got the injury in training camp. And he just was more consistent than he was in spring ball. And I think that he's kind of picked up where he left off in training camp. And he's making plays for us, and he's being more consistent, and he's learning from his mistakes and continuing to move forward, and he's got a lot of confidence. We've got a lot of confidence in him, and I think Daniel has a great future ahead of him.
Kirk, what kind of boost has the return of Mo given you guys in practice this week?
I mean, it sure makes me smile watching him practice and move around out there, you know, and seeing him at, you know, close to full speed. He looks the same to me, you know, but it's only practice. But it you know, I mean, he's a great player, right? And so it's human nature that, you know, when you have a great player and he comes back from an injury and to be out there, that it helps pick you up a little bit. You know, so I think the kids are excited to see him out there, and I think that makes them feel probably maybe a little bit more confident. I don't know, but, you know, I certainly don't undervalue his presence in our lineup, you know, and when you have a great player, one of the best in the country, you know, what's the value to him? You can't put a price on that.
All right. Thanks for joining us today, Coach.
All right, you're welcome. See you guys. Take care.